What's up, everybody? This is Pops with Third Gen Aquatics. I want to showcase our little guys here to start out the video. These are the baby axolotls. So you see them all there. The axolotl eggs, some of them were fertilized and they have hatched. And they are little eyes with tails, essentially. We're just figuring this process out as we go. I mean, legitimately figuring it out as we go. So it's this system here, and I don't have any light on this right now because they kind of freak out, but if you can see right here, we have it again. We have it again. Looks like now Dahlia wanted to have her own eggs. So my natural color, dark axolotl has now laid eggs as well. So well, I guess I have that to deal with. We'll put some footage here of the 125 discus tank. Well, I talked about a couple things. I was talking to my uncle, who's a subscriber of our channel, and he had made a couple suggestions of things and thought they were actually really good ideas. So we're going to talk a little bit about some stuff with the fish room, get a little deep dive into, let's say, the air system. So we'll move over here. So the air system starts with this central pump. So this is an Aqua Miracle, and I believe it's, I don't know, like a 1700 or 2200 or something size unit. And I mean, you can hear, put the microphone up there.
Shh, don't speak.
It's pretty quiet, especially compared to everything else. This Maverick. Especially compared to everything else in the room, like the water running and the air going, from the bubbler systems and things. But this one unit is then piped up into 1-inch PVC. So I have 1-inch PVC fittings, and nothing is glued together. This is all just dry fit all the way up. So I have a little cross section here. It's a 90-degree cross. And then that goes up into 1-inch PVC. And this travels around the room. And then I have these pushing units here that took a certain size drill bit, pretty small drill bit, to pilot the hole. And then these plastic units I would just push right in. And this puts out a good bit of air, but it doesn't put out a lot of pressure. So without all the extra pressure, you don't typically have to worry about things blowing apart. And with dry fit, you could change and maneuver and do stuff like that because, again, not a lot of pressure on it. So I have a bunch of different types of styles here. I had gotten some clear fittings. I'd gotten some white fittings, some of the gray tube, which I believe is a Schedule 80 tube. Nothing really matters all that much. I mean, you can do it all in white PVC, Schedule 40 fittings, or whatever you happen to find. The fact is just trying to get it channeled all the way around the room. So it goes behind the sump there and over, And then this T section here was actually put in place to split the air system off and run. So there's some fittings that go up into the ceiling there, but that is actually to run to the other side of the wall where I have a plug-in for the pond unit. Actually runs off of that. So all the pond air and everything is running off of this system as well. So another T section here, and this bridges across the central part. This is one of the original parts of the air system that I put in. And then I expanded the room out, so I ended up adding a little bit more to it. So here's the axolotl tank, and we're going in behind and around the side, up and over, and then it tees back into the main system. So essentially, it's like a figure eight kind of a system that runs, and this runs all the way across above the 500-gallon tank, and then across back to where that T section is there. So this whole system here, to equalize the amount of air pressure and volume that goes throughout the system, you want to have a closed loop all the way around. So I just had an extra area here in the middle because of all the tanks that I had here. I had 4 tanks here, and then I had 1 tank on the other side of the column that was a quarantine tank. So having the quarantine tank there on the back side and the 4 tanks that I had on this side, it was just in my best interest to be able to have at least something running across the center here. And since I already had that set up anyway, it wasn't a big deal just to cap this off, because this would across there tee off, and it came across, so I had more fittings and drops that came down right in this section here. But when I expanded the room out to the wall back there for the space for the 500-gallon, I had to then expand my air system as well. Now this does great because I get equal air pressure and volume throughout every section of the fish room, all the way around. And that's great too, to have the section here to take it out to the pond, because I don't have to run a separate pond pump. Plus, it's pulling the 77-degree air from the corner over there. It's pulling that air and pumping it out, well, through all the tanks to help keep them warm. And it pumps it out to the fish pond outside to help keep it warm too. So hopefully in the wintertime, we will have far less issues with freeze over and such out there. I'd rather not have to run a heater out in the pond if I don't absolutely have to. But the African tank, I have airdrops to all the tanks, sometimes multiples. Like there's airdrops in here and in for the sump as well, for the fluidized media center in the sump, because I use air to churn that all up, and oxidizing that, putting the extra oxygen in, helps with a lot of stuff with that, and we'll deep dive that at another time as well. But for the air system itself, again, the drops have been fantastic to have. I have air lines coming down here all around the room, so anytime I need to add extra filtration or I need to put something in to help with agitation, or like I have in the 90-gallon back here, you know, I have a bunch of airflow coming up out of that. I could probably actually turn that one down. That seems a little high for what it is, but I have a air filter in the back. I have some sponge filters in different tanks. The 500-gallon has 2 giant sponge filters in it and an air stone there in the middle. This was a nice, quick, easy, extra filter running on air, filter running on air, sponge filter on air. One of these little air charged canister filters running back there. So a bunch of things going with the air, and it's great just to be able to swap stuff in and out. And it's super easy because of air distribution blocks and all the different units that I have. And I'll be honest with you, I'm probably not even using half of these at this point, but I have them there if I need them. So that was a little deep dive into the air system. Like I said, that is doing a phenomenal job. And then it takes all those individual units out of play. So I don't have to have, 10 different plugs used up to have to try and get air to all my different tanks. I have one unit that feeds the entire room and the pond. To talk about cost savings, this is the way to do it here. Some cost savings. I run one central air pump, run the whole room off of it and the pond, and you don't have a bunch of extra stuff plugged in. Frees up your different spaces on your plugs for other things you need to run. You can see I have a couple of them here too. It's just been a great system. Highly recommended if you have several tanks and you want to run one clean system all the way around, not a bunch of noisy things all over the place. It's a great system. On that note, this is Pops from Third Gen Aquatics. That's it for this one. Stay tuned for the next. Thanks so much, everybody. Appreciate you guys following along. Let me know, this is the first deep dive I've done with anything in the fish room, and most of everything that I've done has been DIY. So if anybody wants to know any more, specifics about things, put it in the comments down below, and we'll address that on the next one. All right, guys, see ya.